Well, a very good evening to each and every one of you, and welcome to this week's episode of Your Manchester with me, Miss Belinda Scandal.
And me, Mr. Mark Llewellyn.
How the heck and the devil are you?
I'm absolutely marvellous. And how are you?
I'm hankering after a exciting evening.
Last night, when you were at the theatre,
yes,
were you being murdered on the Orient? Because I paid extra to have you murdered, and I come in and here you are.
And you should see that show, though.
What?
Oh, my goodness me. Murder on the Orient Express currently at the Laura. It is phenomenal.
I booked for Saturday, but apparently it's a replacement bus.
Not a replacement train?
No.
Okay. Anyway, the set is amazing.
Is it?
It's basically a lot of cubes. Imagine cubes. Imagine Rubik's cubes.
I'm imagining cubes.
Put them at different angles.
Yeah.
And imagine different parts of a train within that. What are you doing? Are you all right? Is it time for medication? Medication?
I'm thinking about
it. It's fabulous. What have you been up to this week?
Last night I was talking to Tottington at Townswomen's Guild.
I love Tottington in Bury.
They were talking of nothing else.
Really? What about?
You.
Oh, thank you. Well, I like to be discussed. I'll worry when they're not talking about me. Till then, what a wonderful show we've got lined up.
We have.
What's on the show today, please?
We're talking literary matters with David Hatton.
We are indeed.
Yes, and you're perfect for a show. You'll find out. It's all about the filed hag, I think, and I think that used to be your bill matter, didn't it?
That's certainly what I want on my epitaph. That's
yes.
True. Yes, indeed. Also today, we are speaking to one of my favourite actresses in the entire planet, and she is joining us here in this beautiful studio. Beautiful studio. The one and only Annie Wallace. Not Annie Wallace.
No, not Annie Wallace.
No H.
No,
Annie Wallace, indeed.
From
Hollyoaks. Hollyoaks.
Hollyoaks.
Yeah, you ready?
Yes.
You ready?
Yeah.
This is how your show's
Is that
looking.
the new version?
Playing the role of headmistress Sally St. Clair in Hollyoaks, BAFTA-nominated Annie Wallace has received praise for being the first ever transgender actress to play a regular transgender character in a UK soap. Her character is set to leave the show after 9 years, but for now, Annie joins Mark and Belinda for an exclusive interview here in the Your Manchester studios.
That's the whole point, yes indeed.
Yes.
So there we are, and joining us now in the studio is the one and only Annie Wallace. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you very much.
Bit of a strange evening for you this evening.
Yes, it is strange, because here I am, sat here, live on Your Manchester, and it's 7 p.m. on E4, plug. That's what's my last episode, for the time being. And then it's the last episode of this year for Hollyoaks.
Right. How is this working? How are they doing this?
So it's part of the method of getting from 5 episodes a week down to 3 episodes a week. Although the first 3 episode week was this week, but starting next Monday, we have gone forward in time by 12 months. The first few minutes of Hollyoaks episode Monday says 12 months later. Right. And there's a kind of thing. You remember Notting Hill when he walks through the market and the seasons change around him?
Yeah. Yes.
That doesn't happen on Hollyoaks.
Okay.
They just change the weather.
Right.
So is everybody aged up a little?
No.
It's Hollyoaks. Nobody ages.
No, they're going backwards, aren't they?
Yeah, they go backwards.
Right.
But a year, people don't age a lot in a year. Although, given what's happened. So yeah, it's a big episode next Monday. But tonight is the cliffhanger of the stunt week that we've been doing. That ends the current era, and then we go into the next era from Monday. And unfortunately, I'm not there.
So can you tell us how you leave or not? Or
I haven't got a clue.
You haven't got a clue?
No, I'm not there.
So you're there at the end of tonight?
Yes.
And you're gone by next week?
Yes. Something has happened in the 12 months of me being away.
Well, that's even more of a cliffhanger than the actual programme.
Well, the thing is, all they've said is, so, the McQueen family has 2 branches. It has the Hollyoaks branch.
Yes.
So they did their branch.
Yeah, very good. Yes.
Very good. Tremendous.
Should we just do this all night?
Yeah, we could.
And so that is happening in Hollyoaks. And then the other half of the McQueen family, of course, they run a bar in Alicante. Which is why whenever they go, Nana's over in Alicante, they go back and forth between their
Right.
the two little bases. I think there's a good spin-off possibility here, you know.
Oh, so could we have you as Sally running at a bar in Alicante?
Oh, more importantly,
Maybe.
has Sally... Is Sally okay, or is she left, or is she dead, or where we are?
No, I can categorically say that she's not dead.
Unless they do an episode where they attend your funeral.
Well, no, because
no, you'll be dead for a year.
I've
You'll be
been
a bit smelly by then.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
No.
No.
Unless I died just before the episode start. I've not died. I've not died.
So that's not happened, right? This is good.
Exclusive.
No, it was part of the press release that was put out by Hollyoaks.
I don't trust the
is
press.
that Annie is that the door has been left quote firmly open, so the chances of seeing Sally again are
You could go back
fairly
as
high.
Sally's sister.
Oh, we're not doing twin sisters. We've done that with Jez and Patrick.
Yes.
Jeremy Sheffield playing the twins.
That's right.
So, Sally no longer in it. You're therefore not acting in it. How does that make you feel? I mean, to me, that's cruel, knowing that the door's been left open, but you're not needed for now. That's kind of like...
It's not as cruel as being killed off.
No.
Where you've got no chance
that's
of,
all right, having the-
Well, I'd
go
say-
back to see
no.
friends and things like that.
What?
It's it's down to a logistical thing. So it's not even down to a character choice or a story choice. It's down to a logistical thing. I simply didn't have any storylines happening at the time.
Right.
And it was very simple and easy for them to just say that Sally's gone to visit the family in Alicante. There's some people who have been involved in the story who have an explosive end, as it were. So yeah, we are losing some people.
So how did that sit with you then? You all right with the way that you've departed?
I'm all right with the way I've departed. I'm just not all right about being departed. Because I loved it there. I worked for many decades to become a successful actress, and I managed, out of all the odds, I managed to do it in 2015, and I got this role in Hollyoaks, and I was very happy to stay. I'm not very ambitious, you see. I'm not kind of social climber, and I was like, this is great. I'm really happy where I am, and I'm doing the job I always wanted to do. And I didn't think it would ever happen that I would lose that, and now I have lost it. I've been going through a bit of an emotional sesh, shall we say? But I'm not like drinking gin in the corner and weeping with the cats. I'm fine.
But we've got to say, yours character that came into Hollyoaks, it was what I like to refer to as a rare breakthrough character. It was more than just to fill in a house on a street or something like that. You brought with your character a lot of wonderful warmth and a lot of responsibility, I have to say, on your shoulders.
Well, it was part of that time, that brief little glimmering of light where the world said, actually, maybe we should have some trans actresses, actors, on TV. Because really, we weren't being cast in anything, and that's why I was kind of sat on the shelf. And then this opportunity came up. Of course, Rebecca Root did Boy Meets Girl, and then Bethany Black did stand-up comic, wonderful. She did Cucumber and Banana and stuff. So there was people already out there in the firmament, as it were. And then Riley Carter Millington, of course, from Stretford, playing Kyle Slater in EastEnders. And this all happened 2014, 2015, and it really felt like a moment that things were going to be good. And I was part of that movement that came in, and it was like, we were going to show these stories. And, little did I know that we'd be sat here, 9 years later with the most horrendous transphobia and toxic hatred being spewed mostly on social media, has to be said, because nobody says that to my face. Nobody gives me any problems in the real world, but online and for some reason in the government and things, there's this kind of toxicity. So yeah, it was a very strange thing that I thought was really positive, but actually when you put aside all the stupidity and all the lies and the toxicity, what happened is that we had a real chance to show actually real lives. And after, in the shadow of the wonderful Hayley Cropper, I was privileged really to come and carry that baton into Hollyoaks. So, yeah, I was really proud to do it, and it worked out brilliantly.
So you mentioned then that it's prevalent at the moment with everything that's kind of going on the negative side of that world. Why would you think that it would be necessary to take your character out when your character can actually, at this point, say so much more?
I don't know. And to be honest, we've lost all our trans actors now in Coronation Street. Wishful thinking. We've lost all our characters in Hollyoaks, and we do have a young trans boy, Ro, who is currently played by Ava, who's a great actress. Yeah. But there's no trans actors in it anymore. And considering that was part of the ethos at the time, I'm a little disappointed that happened. Certainly, there was 2 of us in it, a couple of months ago. Now there's none. And actually, the only person who's really carrying the torch for trans people, and at the end of the day, it's about an actor telling a story. I don't necessarily want to have the trans flag sticking out of my ear all the time. That's never been me, and also I've never let it define me. No. I've been happy to stand up for it, and I've been happy to be politically active in that thing about rights and just kindness. Just be nice. How much does it cost to be nice? We've got the wonderful Ash Palmasiano in Emmerdale, and he's doing a great job. His character got married recently, but then he was put in prison and was bullied and everything. So he's currently the only person now on regular television who's carrying the torch for trans people, considering that there was a little clutch of us and now there's only Ash. And that's quite worrying, I think, in terms of representation, because it's that whole thing about if you can see it, you can be it. And I feel that trans people are being put back in the closet again. I'm sorry, but closets are for clothes.
So, hopefully, we might see you back on the Hollyoaks set. The door is open.
Well, there's lots of other opportunities out there.
Yes.
I mean, I've been let go from Hollyoaks for the time being. I'd love to do some other stuff in the interim, to be honest. Obviously, I have a rent to pay, but also just because I haven't been able to, because when you enter a soap, there's a thing called a golden handcuffs contract, which means that you're exclusively contracted to play that one character for that one company. Wow. And that's simply an intellectual property thing. Yeah. So there have been other approaches from various other places that I've had to say no to. I would love, I think I've said this 100 times, love to do Doctor Who. But I don't know many queer people who would not, because it's like it's a shrine of worship, that show, and obviously
it's so good at the moment as well.
Yeah, well, I've known Russell for 20 years or something, and he's a lovely man, and it'd be really lovely to have that happen. I'd love a little something on Coronation Street, since that's the place that it all started for me in 1998, of course. But there's lots of other things on the horizon. There's not as much drama being made at the moment because it's an expensive form of television, despite the fact that there's a voracious appetite from the public, especially on streaming services for drama. They're building studios all over the country. Yeah. I mean, in Elstree Borehamwood, they've just made Sky Studios, which has 10 sound stages on it for making films and television. And there's one in Wales and there's one in Scotland. It is an astonishing growth in terms of Britain as a content maker. Yeah. But the opportunities seem to be shrinking because it seems to be the pool of actors that they're choosing from seems to be smaller. It's money, isn't it? Yeah. Of course it is, and that's why we're having the problems. Money, creativity, doesn't it? Which is a shame.
There's a lot of Netflix stuff and things being made around Manchester at the moment. There is, isn't there?
Yeah, and of course the production values are extremely high on that kind of thing, and it's wonderful. But I still think that soaps, serial dramas, as they should call them properly, are incredibly important and incredibly valuable, and still hugely popular. Yeah. And I think that is what worries me about that being cut back. We've lost Holby City, we've lost Doctors, which finishes at Christmas, and Hollyoaks has been cut back. So I worry about soaps because they are so important.
Well, unfortunately for now we are out of time, but we want to see you back on the screen, on the stage.
Me too.
And let's face it, if we get work,
then anybody can. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Speaking of work, though, thank you so much, Annie, by the way. Thank you. Pleasure to have you on the show for your 9th appearance, by the way.
9th? Good heavens. I'm addicted. I've got a flat next door.
Right then, well, you've been busy. You're trying to drum up a little bit of business for our lovely channel.
The show's been in the press so much in all the national papers in the recent weeks. Why wouldn't you join us? Why don't you join us on Your Manchester? We've had over 3 million viewers since we started, and you could be reaching those people too. Join us for advertisements, for product placement, and for sponsorship. Go to our website, www.yourmcr.com, or drop us a line and contact us at yourmcr.com for our advertising and sponsorship pack. And you could be part of the Your Manchester story. Well, there we are.
How wonderful.
Well, he was good, that actor on there.
He looks just like you know.
He looked like Cary Grant.
Anyway, so we're joined now by our next guest. He's a fabulous author. He's called Mr. David Hatton. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
We've been handed a book.
We have, haven't we?
This is a lovely book.
Has it got pictures for you?
Yeah, it's got a picture. It's got a picture on the front, which is always...
It looks a bit like you.
That's a very dramatic picture, might I just say.
Oh, thank you.
Did you source the picture yourself, or is
I
this...
paid for that.
Did you?
For it. Oh,
It's very good. This book's called The Witch of Wood Plumpton. Tell us all about it.
So it's based on a true story. So I'm from Preston.
Yes.
And in the 1700s, there was a woman called Meg Shelton, and she's buried in the church, St Anne's Church in Wood Plumpton. She's buried under a big boulder, and next to it there's a sign saying a witch was buried here. Supposedly she's been buried upside down because she used to resurface. Now my book's actually set after her death, but it sort of jumps forward.
This was, first,
Right.
whoa, hold on a minute.
Hang on.
That's a true story,
That's
first
a
of
true
all.
story.
Oh.
yes.
And-
you could get that one day. Right.
So the book's set slightly after her death.
Yes.
But all these mysterious things are happening around the village. So she keeps resurfacing from her grave. Crops are dying, milk is souring, and the villagers are believing that Meg Shelton is causing all of this.
Now, that's what actually happened, isn't it?
That's what that's what
That
the locals
is-
used to
yes.
tell us. Yes.
Yes.
And so this book's about the vicar at St Anne's Church. It's important to say Meg is the only true character in
Okay.
this book.
All right.
I've made up a completely...
Right.
everyone else is completely made up. And Isaac, the Reverend, doesn't believe that she was really a witch. He just thinks she's quite a poor woman and that she was being bullied. So he's actually wondering who's behind all these mysterious events. So it's a bit of a mystery.
A mystery.
Oh,
There's
we like
so many
that,
cliffhangers on today's episode, Mark.
I know. And
Isn't
jumps
there?
in time.
Jumps in
Yes,
time.
we have a theme.
We have a theme.
Right, okay.
Yes.
So how long did it take you to research this?
Well, it started off, I went for a walk in January. And I've written... This is my 7th book,
Yeah.
but I went in January for a walk in Wood Plumpton. I've been a few times before, but completely sort of forgotten about the book.
Where is Wood Plumpton?
Just outside of Preston, so near Kirk and Blackpool, not too far from there.
Feel a walk coming on, Mark.
Oh, it's lovely, beautiful
It's
countryside.
lovely round there.
And we I took my partner, who's also called David.
Right.
We went for a walk there, and I was telling him all about the witch. And I told some friends when we got home.
Yes.
And they said, "You should write a book about this." Now, I was like, 1700s, what have I got in common with these people?
So spoke to you. You were around.
I knew her.
Do you want to play Isaac?
Yes.
Play
Annie Wallace and I'll do the film.
But I started reading about it, so I was interested and reading about that time, and suddenly a story started to come in. And while these people were all, while technologies have changed, circumstances have changed, people are human at the end of the day. And I could really see how these people were living, and actually the history helped develop the story. And actually, once I got to grips with that, I wrote it within like a month or two, really.
Really?
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
say
I just
that.
couldn't
Don't
stop
say that.
writing.
Say it
Couldn't
took you
stop
3
writing.
years because people expect that.
An audiobook.
They pay for that.
Yes.
An audiobook. Well, yeah, don't get me started on that.
Now, so why have you gone for this particular theme then?
As I say, it was never part of my
It just jumped out at you.
repertoire. It was just the fact that when I started researching her life, and actually the stories like the Pendle Witches,
Yes.
I
Love
just
that.
became so obsessed. And this book's actually set 100 years after the Pendle Witch trials.
Right.
People weren't being arrested anymore, but that feeling of witch hunting was still prevalent. And what I did notice was this is not this isn't just something that was in the 1700s. A lot of the tales remain today when I think about cancel culture, when I think about the way we treat immigrants and some of the LGBT community and people who don't quite fit the norms. I actually notice a lot of themes which are still very relevant today. And at the time, it tends to be poor beggar women or smart women,
Don't look at me.
Well, I'm only thinking of you because I know you make your own yoghurt by staring at milk.
That was a bit cheesy. That's disgraceful conduct.
I know, we are available for banter.
Are you trying to read?
I'm reading it now, so I
You're
don't have to
skimming.
pay for it.
Well, all right,
I thought
fair
if I
enough.
could read it by the end of the show, you can have it back.
So you've been writing for a long time now. Like you say, you're up to
Seventh book.
seventh
yeah,
book.
So, yeah,
Why writing for you? Why is that your particular medium to work through?
just been something that I was always writing as a child. I remember my in primary school, my teacher used to read out my stories every single week, and then I didn't write again for a very long time until I moved to America and I was blogging, and somebody said, one of my cousins said to me, "Oh, David's a good writer." So when I returned, I just thought I'm going to start writing this book, which had. My first book, which was I released on my 30th birthday, and I've just been writing probably about a book a year since. Yeah.
So if you were to pick out somebody else's book, other than written by anyone on the sofa, who would you be reading?
I love Linwood Barclay.
Who's that?
Yes.
He's a Canadian
Oh,
writer.
it's all about Canadians this week, isn't it?
Isn't it?
He's absolutely brilliant. I've got a friend called Kerry Wilkinson, who's also a good writer. He's a great writer. He also lives in Canada as a female.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, and I also love the Reverend Cole, who actually I sort of based Isaac a little bit on, just a little bit of his character, because I've been reading a lot of his books, and also I've been listening to his audio books about his autobiography, and I think I had him in my head when I was writing it, so there's definitely a bit of him.
This is good. So you've written this. Now, knowing you, there's probably another one in the works.
At least.
I've play around with ideas all the time. I've got a little notebook. Most will never see the light of day. Celebrity Death Island is one that I scribbled down. I was like, that's never seen the light of day.
Oh, we could go on that.
I like that. We could go on that. What could we? What would it be? The death or the island?
We could be the hosts.
We could be the. Oh, I could see that. Yes, yes, I know. Yes. Oh dear.
But currently nothing. So.
I'm doing a Judy Finnegan.
Maybe next year.
Okay. Well, that sounds good, doesn't it?
I think that sounds very, very good.
I like that.
His brain's churning over today.
Yeah,
I like it.
yeah.
You're thinking
We'll talk afterwards.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, we'll talk percentages first.
Where can people get this book?
It's available on Amazon. It's also available in sort of all sort of independent bookshops.
Yeah.
And I saw it on Waterstones and W.H. Smith's websites the other day as well.
Is it self-published?
It is self-published.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's a lot of pages to print off per book, isn't it? That.
Well, I didn't. I've not
You
done it at home.
don't have to
thankfully.
print them off yourself.
Do you not use a HP to print these? That's just me.
Well, we now know Belinda's never written a book.
No, I'm better live.
I've recorded an audio version.
Have you?
of mine.
When's that out?
Well, you want to ask yourself because you're in charge of it. It's recorded.
It is, yes.
Yes.
I know.
Thank you for
needs,
helping me there, David.
it needs a lot of work. I'll get around to it eventually. It's going to be released for Christmas, that's what you said.
Which Christmas?
This one,
Yes.
when it comes back round.
We could do the audio.
You're obsessed. You're obsessed. So, listen, come on. You're going to say something about this book, weren't you, rather
I was just going to say,
Yes.
I'm looking forward to reading this book.
Are you?
The Witch of Wood Plumpton.
Wood Plumpton. You been
I've
there?
been to Wood Plumpton.
Have you? Is it a nice
yes,
place?
I have, because my partner Roy was from Preston as well.
Right.
He trained at the Harris.
At the what?
At the...
Do they do tweed?
No.
Oh.
It's the Technical College and the Art Gallery.
Anyway, so thank you very much. We look for. I'm
Very
gonna.
good at culture.
I'm gonna have it. I'm not. Unless it's yogurt. So you say.
Anyway, you give me that and I'll get you a Dr. Dot.
Anyway, everybody, there we go. Thank you, David, so much. I'm being told we're out of time.
You are.
Yeah.
David and I are on for another 10 minutes.
Go on, I dare you. Go on. Absolutely fantastic.
try me.
Yes. Now, listen, have you been listening to the podcast?
Yes, with Uncle Stephen.
With Uncle Stephen.
I like Uncle Stephen's podcast, don't you?
Yes, it's very good.
Yes, because we feature in it and we get no royalties whatsoever.
I know, I like it. It's very good indeed.
marvellous.
It's going to be a good one this week.
We read it. Why? What's on this week?
Well, it's this. So, what more can I say? But next week we're talking cock.
Well, I'm not here next week because
I'll be
next
talking
Wednesday
cock on
I
my
shall
own,
be in
as per
I shall be
usual.
in Blackpool with a group of Canadians just to keep the theme going.
That's
Canadian
nice.
Coronation Street comes.
And I'll be here.
Yes, holding the fort.
Holding
Don't
the
worry,
fort.
I'm here on my own the week after.
You are indeed. I might have a special guest host, actually. I might just lined one up. I won't say who it is. But anyway, thanks for watching this week's episode of Your Manchester.